welcome. What a big week it has been in football. And we've got plenty to get through tonight. Tommy, good to see you. Rory. And James Hird is overseas on assignment and business. So we brought back the original and the best, the great man, Ross Lyon, is with us tonight. Ross, welcome to us.
Boss. Pleasure to be here.
Good to have you,
think.
Mate. Well, I think we've got some questions for you tonight as well, pal.
Lovely.
Yeah, good.
I'm very expectant.
Right. Tommy Morris has been breaking stories right throughout the year. And, Tom, you got a good one tonight, an interesting one. It's not a big exclusive, but it's one of real interest, particularly if you're barrack for the Pies.
As you do, Ed, yeah. There's lots of Collingwood supporters who are wondering what's happening with Bobby Hill, whether he's going to play this week, what his plans are for the rest of the year. I can tell you tonight that Bobby Hill wants to face Adelaide this Saturday. Such an important game for the club. He's told the club that. He's also said his preference is not to be the sub. Now, if he doesn't play, he's also very keen to go with Collingwood and be part of the group around his teammates and then potentially play in future weeks. But he's very keen to play. He feels, Ed, that he's emotionally and physically ready to go and play a full game in the 22. I
believe that the club think maybe one more week, but what you're saying is that, you know, that's fantastic news. So why does Collingwood need to wrap their arms around him? They do anyway, but why is Bobby reaching out? Because he's had some issues in recent times. Yeah, he has. There's been personal reasons why he's missed the last few weeks. He had gastro last week as well. This is a delicate situation, but Bobby believes, and the club I think as well, the best environment for him to be in is around his teammates, which is why he's keen to get to Adelaide even if he doesn't play this week.
And that's when you're going through adversity in any footy club or any walk of life, the best place to be is inside the four walls of a footy club because they're great support mechanisms. Ross,
when you become a football coach, you get 52 more sons, don't you? Or 42 sons these days or whatever it is. But in that situation, how important is it to actually just make sure that everybody feels we're with you?
Well, it's really important you carry the trust that you've built with that player and you don't let him down. So, I mean, he's a Norm Smith medalist. We all watched him light up in MCG. Yeah. I'm very close to the Hill family, Stephen and Brad, and I know he's an extended family member. So to bring him back into the fold, to get him over there, it'll give him a lift, give them a lift, and it's clearly the right thing to do. And if you're a Collingwood fan and member, they all love him.
He can come and sit on my knee if he wants to.
Just drive him there.
He can come over, just don't play. Just come to Adelaide, Bobby, and just sit on the sidelines, please.
Quickly, before we get into questions of Ross tonight, Carlton, some big news today. You were there at a media conference?
Yeah, Graham Wright spoke today at the media conference and he confirmed the news this morning that Brad Lloyd would be stepping away from the club. Crucially, they said this was mutual, that Brad Lloyd will step away at the end of round 24. And there was three other main points. One was the list management team. He said Nick Alston and the recruiters are going nowhere. There's still decisions to be made on the assistant coaches. I still think big calls are going to be made. And the third is that the big five of Curnow, Mackay, Wiedering, Walsh and Cripps, he hopes they'll all be at the club next year. Contracted players. He conceded that...
the contracted players he knows because he holds the contract.
Yeah, but he didn't quite say that. He said he hopes they'll be there next year.
That's what I'm saying. So.
And he also said that the list needs more depth, so they're going to work in the off-season to make sure that happens.
Well, you want to get more depth by not losing those five.
That's important, I would have thought, yes.
I would have thought so. OK, let's move on to the man who's next to us. It's great to have Ross Lyon with us. Ross, we're going to go back in time to 2023 when you first mentioned TDK.
I can tell you tonight that Silvani has now made it known to people around De Koning that when he wants to engage in his future, which is expiring by a contractual sense at the end of this year, that he's going to be given an offer that may just be impossible to refuse. Do you like Tom De Koning yourself?
Look, I've always liked him, and the good clubs and the great clubs run parallel. They're day-to-day football, focused on winning, and I think Geelong has shown a great capacity to run parallel in the background. And so
you need a ruckman, don't you? Or a big
we need lots. Look, I'm really pleased with what we got. Clearly, we paid the same amount of money as Geelong did last year, and they won a flag and won 16 in a row. So we need to add some capability.
So, Ross, the key there being 2023 March. That's I
haven't aged that well, have I?
Go on to the summer tan.
Gee, I was tan then. Straight back from Europe. What week was that? Yeah.
Well, it was March, mate. You were just coming off the beach at Portsea or something.
The honeymoon period.
Exactly.
We played finals that year.
A lot of people over the years see a player and it just catches their eye. I mean, I'll go right back to John Pachura at Richmond when Graham Richmond...
That ended well.
Yeah, well, it's
or not.
I won't get to that one, but... he's obviously been a player you've been keen on. You mentioned Sauce there, Gubby Allen's involved. So you've got some pretty heavy-duty people who know their football. Clearly you can't say whether he's coming or going just at the moment. We'll find out in the next couple of weeks. But
well, just on that, I don't think anyone knows where anyone's landing.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone took to the bank that Buddy Franklin was going to GWS, and you blinked and it was at Swans. Who knows what's around the corner? We know Geelong like him. We know Carlton love him. There's a lot of people in the market for free agent, big power, ruckman forward. So I would have thought we're not the only suitor.
Have you got no confirmation from De Koning that he's going to join the club next year?
Yeah, no, and if I did, I certainly wouldn't blare it out here.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it's not, and I think he's certainly a free agent. They're very valuable. They preserve your draft capital and they add to your list. I mean, you just have to look around the league, what's occurred there. So, like all good clubs, we're exploring every opportunity to improve our list. I mean, that's just the reality. If Graham Wright's saying Carlton need to improve their capability, I think we squarely sit in that league as well.
I'll put it out, he'll be at St Kilda, I reckon.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I think he's going to be at St Kilda as well, but I do believe he hasn't told people at Carlton or St Kilda.
No, he can't. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's get through quickly the roll call. So, Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera, the man... You know him, he's on your head.
Handy.
He was sitting on your head.
Yeah, he's handy.
His shoulders still... He does that a fair
Anything
bit
for
with
the
people.
cause, Ed. He does that. He does everything.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Apparently the club didn't like this getting out, but I thought it was fantastic.
Oh, any St
Did you like
Kilda,
it?
any St
I
Kilda.
loved it. Yeah, my kids said, Dad, was that you? Like, you're going... Look, we're building out the social side. Like, if you look at Hawthorn, really, that family club, and you don't think much of, but you think of the essence of their success, the ability, football clubs, and that side-by-side mentality. And I think St Kilda, over a period of time, because it's had to subsist, has lost some of its fabric, and we're working incredibly hard to bring all that together, and that's a part of it.
And again, without going into it and asking questions you can't answer, my mail today is that if you're a St Kilda fan, you'll be feeling a bit more confident as we're getting towards the end of the season.
I mean, where I was in early, not negotiations with Naz, but I was sort of a plank and connection, but I thought that's dangerous ground. So I really stepped away and just coached Naz, support Naz. And he just... Some people like one in the hand, right, and will accept. So all negotiations started pre-season. So, but some people two in the bush and back themselves in. Not many deliver on it, but to Naz's credit, his ability to train hard, to lead, to continually improve, and as we challenge him with new positions, he continues to stand up. So good luck to him. He backs himself in. A few try it, but a few tip over. And to his credit, he's creating best opportunity, and the club needs to work through that professionally and try and get the outcome that we all desire.
You've coached for a long time. You've had some great talisman in your side.
Yeah, I've had
this
great players.
Kid has just caught fire with the St Kilda faithful, hasn't he? It's just unbelievable.
Well, he's caught fire not in a short period of time. I mean, it's really... I walked in, people were saying he can't kick it inside 50, and Corey Enright said, are we serious? Let's get him to the back half where the ground opens up, and then he's just... What's really important, we've provided the environment and the coaching, but he has absolutely dedicated himself physically and mentally to become what he's become in a short period of time, along with, you know, Mitch Owens and those sort of guys. So he deserves every accolade he's getting, but he's just on the beginning of his journey, and he's starting to do what Andrew McLeod did, half back through the midfield. And he, as you said, I did send the runner out to push him forward. So I play a small part. But, yeah, he's pretty special.
Does it frustrate you at all, the noise surrounding, I suppose, these contracts? We saw some stuff around Harley Reid today as well, and there seems to be so much noise out there that is uncontrollable. I know it's bothering some of the senior people. West Coast too, the noise around Harley Reid's contract.
Yeah, for me, Nasiah, I'm excited that we've got this problem. Yeah. I don't think St Kilda... And with respect, was Wilkie's high level in Sinclair, but at 22, a player to come through at 22 years of age, I'm excited to have this problem. It's a great problem to have.
Well, what about if the problem works against you, Ross? And
what's the problem?
You end up losing him.
Oh, well, that's doing business, isn't it?
How
yeah, they're good enough to get it done or you're not.
Carl Delena said that he was 7.5 out of 10 confident that you'd keep him. Are you about the same?
Well, I don't do diving board ratings, right? So I don't know where he gets to 7.5. Yeah. What I'm confident is that we're coaching hard, we're pushing to the line and he's improving. I'm thrilled we've got this problem. Yep. And it's like Mateus Philippou and all those guys. So we'll back ourselves in. My job's to coach, list management do their piece, the board. It's obviously high level and important, but we'll continue to back ourselves in until we know otherwise. So it's the rigour and the pressure of the business. You know, people shy away from it. We lean into it. I think it's fantastic.
Without going through the phone book, we did speak before the show and I mentioned it in the promo, so we better get the question out. Harley Reid, I said, you told me before, you've not even spoken to him.
Never spoken to Harley Reid in my life.
He's not on the St Kilda agenda.
So, and I love Tim. I do love Tim.
Tim Watson, who said it
But
on
he
the
got
radio.
this one wrong. And I think it's I mean, you just voiced the CEO, Don Piker, we all love and respect, is frustrated at their end for whatever reason for Harley and negotiations. So clearly they think there's something out in the ether that's getting in their way. Well, it certainly isn't me.
Well, no, I know where it comes from too, and a lot of the time it does stem from management. Management want to throw these numbers out there to drive players' price up. Because
what, a player manager?
Yes, they do. And then media get hold of it too. They get a nice 4% lick of $2
Player
million.
managers speak to the media.
Ross, can I ask you about some unrest among some players towards particularly the list management strategy, and reports around the last 24 to 48 hours that Callum Wilkie and some others have been a bit frustrated around some of the players that you might be
Others is very broad.
OK, well, I'll give you some names. So Windhager, Howard,
So
Steele,
Windhager's
Butler.
unsigned.
You understand that?
Yeah.
So
Steele's contracted and captain.
Yeah. There's plenty of players who move when they're contracted as well, though. Not saying he will.
Well, no, let's dive into a few reports. So Callum Wilkie rang me. He goes, I've never entertained leaving St Kilda. I love St Kilda, Ross. I love what we're doing.
That's right. So speaking of managers, I
So
spoke to...
don't dismiss that.
No, I'm agreeing
that was
with you.
6:30 tonight, right?
I'm agreeing
Hang
with
on,
you.
hang on.
Yeah.
Free, go.
Go.
Say that again. So Wilkie rang you at 6:30 tonight and said
in
what?
the car in my driveway, Ross, I've never entertained going anywhere else. I love St Kilda. I love what we're doing. We can really pap. Am I concerned like the rest of us about Nasiah and can we get him done? Absolutely. I said, well, so am I, mate. So I think that speaks volumes.
The other guys?
Look, there's trying and really trying. Like, the spirit must be and the unrest must be at an incredibly high level because we actually come from 46 points at three-quarter time. We've won 4 close games. If you're not trying and your spirit's wavering, you flick the bails. That's not what we do, right? Yeah. So Jack Steele played 200 game. We had an incredible function. Gil McLaughlin was there, as you noted. He had a good chat to Nas, so we loved that. And we come together as a club. So there's a lot going, right? And I hear the noise about contracted players. So a couple of things I'll say to that. Unless the free agency rules are changed, I would think contracted players are at your club unless you decide otherwise. And as Chris Scott said to me, Callie wanted to go home. He had children under duress, needed family support, but we weren't trading him. They kept him for another 12 months and got 2 first-round picks and got Cameron through the door. And he said to me, Ross, if you're a club and you trade your contracted players, put your shingle up and say, we're not a very good club. So everyone wants to model Geelong, and on this front, I'll be modelling Geelong.
Yeah. So Steele, Rowan Marshall, contracted players.
We love them all. Yeah. There's no one I love and laugh more with Rowe today. Yeah. And they said today in the gym, do you ever do anything bad and get reported? I said, I don't know, mate, maybe get on YouTube.
No, I wasn't
did a lot of things bad, but didn't get reported because
that's true as well. I wasn't dismissing you. I was confirming
that was at the Sugar Shack.
Yeah, I think unrest. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of half-baked stories. I mean, that's what I see. And to be honest, I heard the Rucci stuff, right? Like, and I listened to it. I thought it was 2 old blokes having a beer and a barbecue in the backyard. And I mean,
what was he saying? I missed it.
Well, there's unrest, and Wilkie and Marshall will be someone else, and they got to trade Steele out to free their cap. It was just, there was no substance, no rigour. And I was like, Rooch, you send me postcards from Italy where you're herding the sheep and counting the sheep. And, like, to be honest, you're a Port Adelaide nuffy. Like, let's move on. Without being denigrated, but does he write content for the Port Adelaide Sandford Club? Is he a mad Port Adelaide? Are they trying to get us into a bit of turmoil? Is that what's happened to Collingwood? Everyone's trying to unsettle Collingwood. You know, next minute Cameron's signed. It's all part of the theatre. It's all part of feeding the chooks. I'm no problem.
And I'm one of the chooks, I guess. Isn't that right? Like
Yeah,
the journalists and the media.
No, we feed the chooks out to the public. You feed the chooks, don't you?
Yeah.
Flick the switch to Vaudeville. Joe Bjelke-Peterson.
OK. So just to put a line under all that, though, you're very happy with where you're sitting with Nasiah?
Well, no, I'm concerned like everyone else.
You're doing everything you can.
We're doing everything we can. Yeah. And I've got no further updates, but hopefully behind the wall that we've put up, there's good negotiations going on.
Speaking of Collingwood, Nathan Buckley, he's been through what you've been through before. You left Freo, you came and worked for Channel 9, which was a great period of your life.
I had a bounce of the ball. He had a couple of marks.
But he's looking to get back into the coaching landscape. Tell me, how was that period for you, that in-between between Freo and coming back to Saints?
Yeah, probably a couple of false starts, and it's a little bit confronting. And someone door-stopped me out the front of Mitch Cleary, and I looked at him, I thought, this is a big decision. I was out the front of Bassett's. AFL coaching is a lot of responsibility and a serious job, and it comes with a lot, and it's not something you can be flippant about. And I think until you really sit there and it's right in front of you and you've got to make that call and go over the cliff. You can't say. And in the end, though, the connection for St Kilda to me and the reasons to go back were compelling. Obviously, how I left and why I left and, you know, is it right or wrong? I'm not too sure. But I didn't like that we were termed irrelevant, try and make a contribution rather than talk about it. So, but the biggest thing is aim to win a premiership and aim to do it better. So I think if you're Nathan, you reflected and you've got to have a different iteration. I'm clearly not doing it like I did, and I think he would maybe like that opportunity to improve himself as well.
Tom, there was a board meeting last night at Melbourne. All indications is that Nathan Buckley is the #1 seed and will entertain the conversation.
Yeah.
My understanding is that they're very keen to name their coach before the grand final of this year, so things are going to happen. They're going to put together their selection committee in the next couple of days. So there's a bit going on down there, but it seems like things are heading in that direction. What was on last night?
Yeah, so it was a board meeting last night. I think they'll even name it before the prelim final. I think they're going to be moving this process pretty quickly. Brad Green will be chairing this selection committee to pick the next coach. But my view, like yours, Eddie, is the only way that Nathan Buckley doesn't get this gig is if he doesn't want it. So I think the club would love him and everything else is just a formality from here on in, which I think
Well, do they need to... Sorry to interrupt, but do they need to be aligned in their view of where the lists are at and what can be achieved?
That's really important.
It's not as easy as saying what is the Melbourne view and what's Buckley's view? Have you got insight to that?
Well, Nathan Buckley's been on the public record as saying that he thinks this is a finals team, and Brad Green's been on the public record as saying it's a finals team.
Okay.
So based on that, they're aligned.
Yep.
Rory, what's your thoughts on it? I think Nathan Buckley will be a great coach if he went to Melbourne, because they need a coach that the guys like Petrarca and Clary and these guys can look to. And there's nothing that they've done that is anywhere near what Nathan Buckley did on the ground. And I think, to your point, more mature. He had to go through a fair baptism of fire at Collingwood at various stages. And if he's right to go, I think he'd be a fantastic coach.
Well, he would have learnt a lot too, absolutely. Yeah. But coming into that role, it's massive to have everyone on the same page, players in particular. So I'd imagine you want to get around some players and get a feel for what they want. Before. But the only other thing as well I was thinking about is the soft cap comes into it too. Melbourne obviously have to pay Goody out. Do you get a senior role, or do you get someone like, and I know Corey Enright's an unbelievable coach, but do you get someone like that mixed in with the Ken Hinkley, who won't take it, but...
We need to take a break, but they are looking for a second prong in their coaching. They want to have a senior coach.
Senior assistant?
Well, they have to pay the tax. If 1.2's gone out of it already, does that talk to...
Well, that's why I think you can only go for one coach.
Might do it over a couple of years. Never know. All right, we're going to take a break and we will come back. Dylan Shiel, well, the jury is in and we'll get through that. And also, just what is the situation as far as the contact in sport? We want to ask a senior coach how you teach people to go at the ball. OK, welcome back. Well, he didn't get 3 weeks. Tom, what did he get?
He got 1 week, and I've just confirmed with Essendon that they're not going to appeal either. No. So now there's 3 reasons for this. So the AFL tribunal came back and said that Shiel breached his duty of care by pushing O'Connor in the way he did. The second point was that they didn't accept that Shiel had his eyes on the ball the entire time. They said slow down vision shows that he took his eyes off the ball. And the third point, which is the critical one, Eddie, the decision was based on the contact to O'Connor, not Lual. So the potential to cause serious injury to his Geelong opponent was more serious than the actual injury to his Essendon teammate. OK, all right, 1 week there. Gerard Healy and I have been banging on about this for years now, about in the back. Can we bring it back? It was a staple of the competition, and they can keep putting another layer and another layer and another layer. If you just paid in the back, people stop pushing people in the back. So that's a solution. But if he had to nudge him under with good technique, are we saying that's fine and play on? Well, you can nudge him out, but don't push him into a pack.
No, it wouldn't have been able to be as forceful. It's really simple, like, isn't it? It couldn't be as forceful. Because I think you go, Ross. Well, the hands in the back rule is just the ability to push and push fully into the back is just causing all sorts of confusion and problems. Yep, so eliminate the rule, but then the expectations on players to be able to see multiple opponents and the ball and judge where the ball's landing is far too great. Yeah, it's easy. In the back is in the back. You push someone in the back, it's a free kick, they'll stop doing it. Body work. I want to get Ross going to this. We saw the incident, saw Jeremy Howe knocked out Giant Newcomb in a collision. We're going to go back in time, though. Oh, we're going to go to this one. So this was last year, Peter Wright. Now, the point I want to make here is that Peter Wright's running at the ball and somebody with absolute intent to go back with courage gets cleaned up.
Same situation here with Pearce. Now, Wright got rubbed out. Pearce got suspended, got off on appeal, and had to actually admit that he deliberately left himself wide open and possible injury. We know that in this situation, May got rubbed out, and his opponent Evans got his nose splattered all over his face there. And the last one I'm going to show is the one from last week where Howe came out running hard, Newcombe got in and got nothing for that. And there's no one complaining about that, by the way.
Yep.
The premise I want to put to you is this duty of care thing does my head in, OK, because I believe, and I think you believe as well, that the duty of care when you go out is if I protect myself and you protect yourself, then we're both going to protect ourselves. That's what would have happened in that last incident in the old days. We would have hit each other hip and shoulder. Do we need to bring in, and I'll use this analogy, you know, you've got a roundabout, you go in, you've got a duty of care not to hit anyone, but there's also a rule that you've got to give way to the right. As much as I hate to say this, but the AFL are changing the game, so I'm trying to come up with ideas. Do we need to bring in whoever's running at the ball gets right of way, and that the player coming with the flight of the ball, we get them off the hook. We don't call them jibs for pulling out or anything else like that, and we just make it a bit easier on everyone so they know what's going on in that situation.
I certainly like the concept. Two categories, though. With the flight, I think the aerial, if you go the wrong way down the road, that's on you because the player's attacking the ball right away, and I think that's right. Give way to the right. If you decide to run back against the grain recklessly and leave yourself open, you're putting in the player with coming and attacking the ball, going his way, in an invidious position, are very difficult. So I think you've got to own that. I think ground level's a whole different kettle of fish, but we coach, like, you can't have those collisions. You just got to make a decision who's getting there first, and if they are, you need to slow and make the tackle, which in our day you would never have said, but the game's fundamentally changed, and that duty of care at ground level is on the player getting there second.
In each one of those, the ball actually hit both players. That's how close it was.
So that's different. A 50-50 ball. If you're stupid enough to go into a 50-50 ball and not protect yourself, you've got to wear the consequences. Like in all those situations there, maybe except for the Peter Wright one at the start, but they all come in way too exposed. Players come in way too exposed. The philosophy I always was taught was go in harder, go in faster and go in smarter than your opposition and you'll come out better on top.
And turn your back with the flight. Yeah, protect yourself.
Protect your head with your arse, Ed, and that's all you can do as a player in the 50-50 situation. Those ones in between where it does bounce up or someone gets there first, Ross, to your point, you do have to slow down and tackle. But this is a genuine 50-50, which most of these ones are.
They're all genuine 50-50s.
This one, I couldn't process this one. Yeah. I'm not sure what Stephen May was meant to do.
But they both had horrible technique, didn't they?
Yeah, no, they were both open. Yeah.
But had both gone in with their hip and shoulder, as you were taught in the under-11s, to protect yourself.
Protect yourself.
Or turn. Yeah. So in like that, Ross, you know, how would when you played, and you were very good at protecting yourself and bumping in those contests, how would you have gone at that in those situations?
Well, you need to turn and protect your ribs, protect your face, and try and get there first and turn.
But they say now, if you go to bump, the duty of care is on you to not hit them.
Yeah. I think they should just eradicate. Just eradicate bumping. You either tackle or you're winning the ball.
The
bump should just be. It is dead, and it's so rare to execute one that's legal. So, just outlaw the bump.
But to make the laws, though, Rory, that you have to be open and get yourself cleaned up is counterintuitive to every instinct in the human race, far less footballers.
That's because we've been penalising guys that come in and try and protect themselves by winning the ball. The penalty is you get injured. That's the penalty for me. If you go in with poor technique, you cop the injury.
The question is the essence of the game, which is the courage and the bravery to attack the ball. And we know the great players that did it, you know, Matthews, Mullane, whoever they might be, is that it's just the way of the dodo bird, isn't it?
Do you teach this handball technique each week?
Not to the level, because it's almost you need to slow and you need to tackle. And Chris Scott, he said you can't. We used to say go lower, go harder, run through the line of the ball, but the game's changed. So I think we'll die out and everyone will be used to the newer version. So I'm not sure it's a better version, by the way.
Do we go the whole step and go to the Gaelic style of stand-up tackle and or, you know, get rid of the bump? And I think that's where they want to go, Ross. I mean, I've
so no bump. What?
Yeah, they want to...
Stand-up tackle.
basically.
Well, we can bring a round ball in too, that'd be
May as well.
Please don't. Stand-up tackle.
That's
No,
my
thanks.
played at Croke Park.
That's my point to you, though. At what stage does the game go away? I mean, do you do that?
Well, your boy plays a violent game.
Yeah. American football. Yeah.
American football. Is there a release that they sign?
There is a release that they signed that this is a physical game and that concussions can occur. And then there is 2 pages of a release that says if you get a knock, you must do this or you will forfeit everything. You must be under these protocols. Your teammates have to report it. If you think one of your mates got hit, you have to report it. So they've got all this mitigation in there to try and stop the injuries, but inevitably there is going to be physical contact, and that's what you're signing up for.
Do you think that's where we'll end up? Because you can't keep diluting the game.
I think it has to go there, Ross. It has to. I think it has to. All right, we'll take a break. Guys, what do you reckon?
I'd love to get your thoughts. We're going to get Ross's thoughts on a couple of the best sides in the competition at the moment. And maybe one, Ed, that I've got a solution for your pies as well. So we'll have a look at the pies.
I don't trust you, though. You're a crow.
Trust me, Ed, I know my footy.
All right. After this, Adelaide and Collingwood, Fremantle, Brisbane, Ross Lyon and Rory Sloane. Welcome back to Footy Classified. I'm enjoying tonight. Ross, it's a pleasure having
Great to
you
be
here.
back, Ed.
It's absolutely
Invite him back again, I reckon.
Right, well, I'll hand over to you guys. Rory, the Mayor of Adelaide.
I've got a solution for your pies. I know how to fix the pies, Crows fans. Craig McRae spoke about gluing the team back together, about system and about playing your role, and I'm going to show some vision right now of how they can do that. So I want you to see here, that's my check. He just kicked that ball in and John Newcombe was standing the mark. So Ross, Hawthorn are good enough to turn this over. They want to go quick against the good sides. They want to take them on and they're good enough to do that. So Brodie Mycheck up top of the screen, transitioning into that front half. He was the deepest layer and guess who gets on the end of it? John Newcombe. So he's spread too hard. Brodie Mycheck needs to make sure he stays involved in team defence because his man, Darcy Cameron, had to press to that mark, which left Lloyd Meek out the back. Now, these 2 players here, you've got Mitchell and Dacos. They're midfielders. Where would Pendles be standing right there if he was in defence? Ross?
Pendle, it'd be a layer behind the ball. Where is he now?
Layer behind the ball would be in the middle. There comes Mitchell, too late, because Hawthorn want to use the corridor. They want to run and carry through, and Dacos has got too much ground to make up because they were trying to get another kick on the boundary. So when Craig McRae talks about system, this is what he means, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly behind the ball, but to allow your players to get in behind the ball, I think the first thing they'd say is a shallow entry intercept mark. It's your worst result in entry, the team taking an intercept mark.
But that's the reason you have a couple of midfielders holding that corridor layer?
Yeah, but even then, you still need to be pretty good. So get the ball to ground, and their whole system's predicated on pressure around the ball, whether it's on entry, around the source, around clearance, because it enables delay and enables their role around defence. So I would say, as a mindset, it's one of the easier things to fix. So I don't think their defensive system's that out of kilter. I think the pressure allowing their system to come to life is probably the piece, and I think that's what they'll dial into. And I think it's a real mindset, and it can be driven by everybody. And I think they jump into this. It's going to be a real challenge.
Yeah, and we showed some of that pressure.
How's one of the best kicks in the side? So, as we know, a kick can go faster than Usain Bolt. So they're missing that, and the last couple of weeks...
Plus his roll-off defence.
But just even the kicking, though, there's a little bit of hesitation at the moment, so they're not getting that quick kick away, which makes them look slow. And then getting in, teams are flooding right back into the forward 50 against Collingwood. Do you bring somebody like a Cox back, who seems to have had the line go through him, so that McStay can go back if you need to, but have at least somebody there as a target?
I think it's a really valid point, and he's part of their system when they are held up and they do go long down the line, that he does bring it to ground. And what I do remember about him, he stands up in finals. He takes big contested marks, and when you are, and Adelaide Oval is a skinnier ground, and you are forced down the line, and I think it can be a real strength for the Pies, but I think his height will come in really handy.
Well, Hawthorn showed the blueprint of how you've got to take the Crows on with pressure and ball movement. The other game is Freo versus Brisbane. A couple of coaches had this to say about Freo earlier in the year.
They play good brand of footy when they're up and going fast, isn't it? Like, maybe they should play a bit more of that at times. It's a good version of them.
They're AFL 18 for the pace of ball movement, that they're AFL 4 from scoring from fast transitions. You can figure that out, let me know.
You can figure that out, let you know, but I'll show you what it means, because Freo did this against Port, and this is how they're going to have to play against Brisbane. Off half-back, Ross, they've changed from being that slow, methodical team to taking the ball on through the middle of the ground.
Yeah, they are. They're very patterned through their midfield. Their players behind, their 3 mids will get into 3 distinct lanes. So when they go for the corridor, they'll be there to use. So you really, when you're behind the ball, when you're behind your attack, you've got to set up because they'll be positioned to really go. So you've got to close them out.
Well, and this is what Sydney did. They used short kicks to break through that first layer. And once they got into the middle of the bubble, they wanted to pop it and attack Brisbane's undermanned defence at the moment.
Yeah, well, interesting. Like Brisbane have been a great uncontested mark, control the ball, front half team. But if you can sort of win the ball back and get it through the corridor before they get set, like all teams behind the ball, tend to be going through them a little bit more quickly than they have in the past. But all their indicators, well, they have 60 entries.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be.
They won a lot of the contests.
If I'm Chris Fagan, I think deep down we haven't got that much to fix.
No, they'll respond.
Ross, I've got to ask you about Nat Fyfe. What a superstar he's been. Announcing his retirement, goes out one of the most decorated players in the game. You're very close to him. Tell us a little bit about him.
Very special. I didn't know much about him when I first got there, and they're like, Fyfe, Fyfe, Fyfe. And I was thinking, Fyfe who? He come off he come off a shoulder reconstruction. He hadn't played for 12 weeks. He went over to Port Adelaide, first game, no practice game. He had 20 at half time. I said, now I know who Fyfe is. So, look, wow. They were down at the Cattery, really special overhead, great preparer, great human. Broke his leg, enrolled in NBA. Really sort of down-to-earth family man from Lake Grace. The Fyfe family were very supportive. And I used to look at him at three-quarter time. I'd just look at him and give him a nod and he'd go, yeah, but I'd say to the rotations guy, he's not coming off. And he'd just be like a diesel. Like he wouldn't come off and he'd help drag us, across the line. So he was very, very special. I mean, he played with a fractured leg in that prelim and, without that fracture, I think that we get those 15 points. The only thing he's short of is a flag, and hopefully he gets a fairy tale finish. Nothing would make me happier.
Where does he rank in terms of players you've coached? Up there with Rewalt types?
Look, you can't separate greatness, and he's clearly a great docker and a great AFL player and very, very special.
Him and Danger are the greatest players I've played on and toughest players to stop across this modern era of football.
Quickly, what made him so good playing against him?
Just powerful, and as Ross mentioned, his ability to go forward, take big grabs, just that the enormity of him and the size of him, he was so powerful and strong.
Yeah, big tank, clean, incredibly special and combative. And stood up when you needed him to.
Yeah, and they'll need him to stand up over the next month and a half as well. And good luck, Nat Fyfe. You've been an absolute superstar of the game, and everyone here at Channel 9 wishes you everything in retirement. But as I said, you've got a long way to go yet in season 2025.